Welcome to the Political Matrix News. Tell you what, there are days that we really have to work hard to find things to talk about on the Political Matrix News. This ain't one of those days. It hadn't been one of those days in quite a while.
Right.
Like, I don't know, last week, not this week. We got plenty to talk about. Rob Milford here in Orlando, Greg Fink in Gainesville, acknowledging the round of applause from everybody, and Scott Miller, he of the red baseball hat. Close enough.
No, it's not just a red baseball. It's not just a red baseball hat.
It's Trump 20 what? 20.
2020.
You need the new one.
America great.
4547. There you go. The 4547 hat's going to be the new hot thing. The Republican candidate for vice president is Ohio Senator JD Vance. He was elected to the United States Senate in 2022. Prior to that, he had lived a couple of other places in the U.S., and prior to that, he went to Yale Law, and before that, the Ohio State University. And before that, he got to travel the world, courtesy of the United States Marine Corps. This is a picture of J.D. Vance when he graduated boot camp. That would be Parris Island, South Carolina. And then there's a picture a little bit, I think, from 2004. He was in Iraq, and he was assigned to the 2nd Marine Air Wing. Just to give you the history here. J.D. Vance was critical of Donald Trump, at least in 2020 and maybe in 2016. I don't think I really paid attention to him then, but in the first visit he had with Sean Hannity on Monday night, and we're doing this on Monday night, the 15th, he said, we had honest differences, but now I've really grown to know and respect the president's opinions. Scott Miller, what say you? Can all of that hate and vitriol be shoved under the rug and put in the rearview mirror?
Well, personally, I think that it's a great choice when you can, take someone that you were previously at odds with and bring them around. I mean, it really shows a lot of character on Trump and Vance's part, I think, to be able to talk through their differences and focus on the things that bring them together. It's really kind of, emblematic, I think, and maybe the theme of the whole choice. I mean, maybe someone, a few days ago, someone else was the choice, but I think Vance really makes a good, if nothing else, a symbol of bringing together people who previously disagreed. I mean, for me, it's the theme of the campaign at this point.
Okay, Greg Fink, what do you say?
I can agree more. I think it's great that I was actually watching a documentary last night of Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush. And it was interesting that they didn't have much in common at all until Reagan got shot. Then once Reagan got shot and Bush had to step in, Reagan's respect for Bush grew exponentially. And they started hanging out together and having lunches every Thursday and everything together, having dinners together. And they grew to become very close friends and very close workers and everything at the time. And so I think very much like that. Trump doesn't have the same kind of background that JD does. And JD went from rags to riches and Trump went from riches to more riches. But at the same time, I think it's going to be an interesting fit. It's going to be interesting to see how he puts all the vitriol that he had against Trump away. But I think a lot of that has to do with Trump's son. He became very close to Donald Trump Jr. And him and his son, Donald Trump's son, were very close. And Jr. was really pushing for his dad to get behind Vance for the last 6 or 7 months.
All right,
and
so now
Jr.'s been pushing.
With this election, I think there's one thing only that we should all bow. I want you to bow your heads right now in prayer. I want to see the hands up like this. I'm not kidding. Up.
There we go.
Come on. There you go. Close your eyes. And here's our prayer. Dear God, thank you for President Trump not picking Matt Gaetz to be the vice president. Amen. That's what I think about that.
Yes,
I'm very, very.
I don't think he was ever a consideration, but I do wholeheartedly agree with the sentiment.
And the extension there is he didn't pick Rubio to give us a scenario in Florida that we were terrifyingly talking about a few days ago.
Well, I mean, it would be illegal anyway. So I mean, Rubio was never going to happen because it would violate it violate the Constitution. So they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, good point.
And honestly, I think even as a campaign thought, it kind of ruins the vibe if you sit there and game the system, make it say that you could do it. I don't think that it would work well with the campaign because it really would have to be gaming the system to do it. That's a bad optic.
I don't know anything about JD Vance. I'm very excited to learn about him.
Hottest book in the country will be, as of today and tomorrow, Hillbilly Elegy. It is his memoir, of growing up
for sure
poor, and I mean poor, as in mom and dad had, let me think, alcohol and drug problems. He ended up being raised by his grandmother and grandfather, Mama and Papa, along with his at least one, maybe two siblings. And we're not talking poor. We're talking really poor. We're talking Meals on Wheels poor. We're talking about didn't have new shoes poor in Ohio. So if there's anyone who understands what poverty is about, and I'm going to tell you something, some of the poorest people we have in this country live better than the upper class of some other nations, both in the Caribbean and in Africa. Okay? Sure. And
think about this. I would challenge you to name another, vice president, even certainly no president that has ever come from poverty. I mean, Vance will be the first one.
Yeah,
a long time into the highest levels of our government, and I can't think of anyone who's going to identify more with the blue collar working man. And this man is someone who rose up not only to be someone who was desperately poor, but he grew through hard work and determination through the GI Bill as a veteran to go to a premier college and then to an elite university for a law degree. And then he became an investment banker. I mean, this is a man who completely self-made himself despite horrible odds. And it's going to be hard to find someone who really embodies America much better. And honestly, the more you think about it, that's probably why Trump chose him, because he really will identify with the common man.
He's also a millennial, which I think is interesting. I mean, it's our first millennial on the top of the tickets. And so he's 39 years old. I mean, and it's great. I mean, he has a beautiful wife, beautiful family. And I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this race folds out. I do know that he's already helped out with fundraising quite a bit. A few of his super PACs that he was related to have already donated around $200 million tonight to
how much?
Campaign. 200 million.
How much?
200 million.
Whoa.
And then we have what's his name?
Elon Musk
doing $45 million a month for the rest of the campaign to the PAC.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think having an investment banker and somebody tied to the financial industry, as well as Silicon Valley, I mean, we say rags to riches, but I mean, there's some pretty good riches here. It's a pretty
serious
good
rags too.
So, I mean, that's a major swing, and very young for a young man.
Okay,
and
now
so
here,
great.
Yeah. Okay, the one thing I want to leave everybody with is this: JD Vance represents an entirely new generation in the U.S. political system. Period. Full stop. Right there. Everybody else that they talked about, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders has a year or two on him. We had, of course, talked about, let me think, Nikki Haley and Tulsi Gabbard, Kristi Noem, the hottie who is the governor of South Dakota. They're all pretty easy on the eyes, but this guy really represents a breakthrough. And
absolutely,
everybody that has talked today has said, you know what? I wish we had any other two people running for president of the United States. Thank God this time around one of them is Donald Trump, but he ain't going to be around for the next time. That's all. I think
what's really interesting is that his political pedigree is so fresh. I mean, he only has been there 18 months as a U.S. senator, and so he doesn't have a.
there was a
Kind of like
senator
another
from
guy,
Illinois who gave it about I think a
but
year, maybe 13 months from the
he
time he
jumped
got elected
ahead.
until he declared for the
Yeah, but he wasn't a
presidency.
VP though. He was the president.
No, yeah, yeah, okay.
Well,
Well,
to be
hopefully
fair,
that turns out better.
JD didn't have an opportunity to participate in the presidential primary.
And it's also the Midwest. I mean, like we said, I mean, we got a Pence from Indiana last time, and now we got this guy here from Ohio this time, and Obama pedigree, very young political pedigree from Illinois. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
the Midwest just has a way of kicking out political freshmen to national levels.
Well, now don't
For sure.
forget, Mike Pence
Yeah,
had been a congressman and the governor of
that's true. He
Indiana.
was, yeah.
When I met him, he was doing a talk show at WIBC Radio. I went up there as a news consultant, but that's been a long, long time ago. I find
Right.
it just very impressive. I mean, he really did. Trump went deep on this selection and taking a chance, and
Right.
that is, I think, a very, very good thing. When someone earlier today said Ben Carson, I was like, God bless Ben Carson. If he had a personality, it would be fascinating. It could be really interesting. But this
He
guy,
doesn't.
JD Vance, is going to freaking clean Kamala's clock when debate time shows up. He'll just tell a
That's gonna
joke
be fun.
and she'll be giggling instead of giving an answer. I guarantee
She
that
won't
will
even
happen.
know that she missed it.
No.
Oh,
This is what they say: never get into a battle of wits with an unarmed person. I think that's what we're going to
yeah.
see in the vice presidential
It
debate.
will be.
We've got more in the next episode of the Political Matrix. We are going to talk more about the shooting of President Trump in Pennsylvania. There is plenty to go with there. We just thought we'd slice and dice it here to make it easily digestible for you. I appreciate you all joining us. Don't forget, you can like us, you can share us, you can spindle, fold, and mutilate. Just make sure you spell our name right. That would be the Political Matrix News.